Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we continue following the emotional journey filled with tears, trials, and fragile miracles in the love story of James and Diêp. A tale that goes beyond the bond of two souls, becoming a symbol of faith, hope, and unwavering strength in the face of adversity. In the previous episode, after receiving an urgent alert from the media about a historic superstorm, a level 17 typhoon predicted to cause the worst devastation in over 50 years, James, a young CEO with a heart full of compassion and responsibility, made a brave decision. Without hesitation, he left behind the warmth of his family and rushed into the eye of the storm to support the poor villagers, the very place that had once sheltered him in his youth. James led the emergency relief team, bringing food, medicine, generators, and above all, a fearless spirit that refused to bow to nature's fury. He worked tirelessly, wading through flooded homes, carrying children, helping the elderly, battling the storm to save every life he could from the clutches of disaster. But then, tragedy struck. While reinforcing a collapsing levee alongside the rescue team to protect hundreds of households, a sudden whirlwind swept through. James was pulled into the raging flood waters. All that was left behind was a snapped rope, a few drifting sandbags, and the stunned horror of those who witnessed the scene. The dreadful news came late that night. The rain hadn't stopped, but a message from a rescue team member sent Diep's heart into a spiral of anguish. She didn't wait. At dawn the next day, while fog still blanketed the land, Diêp carried her young daughter and set out for the storm-ravaged region. She didn't know what awaited her, but her heart, a wife's instinct, told her she had to go. The road into the storm's epicenter was like a shattered painting. Fallen trees, mangled roofs, collapsed homes, mud clinging to every step. But Diêp kept moving. Cold winds, water, and debris couldn't stop a woman searching for the man she loved amidst despair. Her eyes were dry, beyond tears, after a sleepless night staring at the last video James had sent from the levee just before the storm hit. She arrived at the place James disappeared, a mother clutching her child, standing in the heart of destruction. Her image turned the heads of many. The rescue team recognized her immediately. No words were spoken. They bowed their heads, their eyes avoiding hers, unable to face the silent desperation of a woman whose hope was slipping away. Is James still alive? Is his resilient heart still beating somewhere in the wreckage? Is Diêp's unwavering love strong enough to pull him back to this world? The answers remain uncertain, but hope has never dimmed. Join us as we continue this story, not only filled with unexpected twists of fate, but also as a testament to the power of love, compassion, and selfless courage. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next chapter of this journey. Because sometimes the most beautiful stories are written in the heart of the storm. After Diêp and her daughter arrived, the scene before her took her breath away. The entire land was shrouded in a gray hue of devastation. Twisted sheets of metal clung to broken tree trunks. Roads, once familiar, now drowned in muddy water and debris. The air carried the acrid scent of silt, of rain-soaked earth, and the lingering trace of sorrow from a long, harrowing night. Diêp held her daughter tightly in her arms, her eyes darting in every direction, searching for a familiar silhouette, a beloved voice, a gentle smile that once brought her peace. But James wasn't there. He was nowhere to be found. She stepped cautiously through the chaotic aftermath, among people scrambling to clean up, to deliver aid, to search for the missing. Everyone was busy, yet when they noticed her, their eyes filled with pity. No one said a word. No one dared. And it was that very silence that made Diep's heart unravel even more. She felt like she was walking through a nightmare where reality wrapped around her chest like a vice, suffocating and merciless. "James, where are you?" she whispered, as if calling out to him with every trembling piece of her soul. Her feet carried her through the mud toward the levee, the last place he was seen. All that remained were footprints etched deep into the earth, long skid marks, silent evidence of the struggle between man and nature. She knelt down, her hands trembling as they reached for a frayed rope, perhaps one he had held on to before being swept away. Diep's heart clenched. She didn't allow herself to cry, fearing her tears would wash away the fragile hope she still held. She looked up to the sky, still heavy with storm clouds. The wind whipped through her tangled hair. In that moment, Diep wasn't just a wife searching for her husband. She was a woman grappling with the fear of loss, with memories, with a love left unfinished. And even in the depths of her despair, she clung to one thing: faith. That James was still out there somewhere, that he hadn't let go, and that she would find him with every beat of her heart. After hours of exhausting searching in the cold and despair, when her legs were numb and her vision blurred from rain and tears, finally, a desperate shout rang out from the riverbank. "We found him! There's someone here!" Diep jolted, clutching her daughter close as she ran toward the direction where the rescue team was gathering. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest, ready to burst. Every step trembled, not knowing what she was about to face, a glimmer of hope or the final blow. And then she saw him. James lay unconscious by the riverbank, his body soaked through, covered in mud and scrapes. His skin was pale, his breathing shallow, but he was alive. The sight of him made Diep's knees buckle. She held her daughter tightly, unable to hold back the tears that now streamed freely down her face. "James, James, can you hear me?" she whispered, choking on her words as she stepped closer, sobbing uncontrollably. The rescue workers immediately moved in to provide first aid and placed James on a stretcher, ready to rush him to the hospital. Diep grasped his hand tightly, refusing to let go, afraid that if she loosened her grip, he might slip away again, like a nightmare trying to reclaim him. During the ride to the hospital, Diep held his hand to her cheek, desperately praying for warmth to return. She gently wiped the mud from his face, whispering words of love, of longing, of sorrow, apologies for not being by his side in the moment when he needed her most. As the ambulance pulled away, sirens echoing through a city still reeling from the storm, Diep's heart trembled with every beat. But this time, it was the tremble of hope. James was still here. He had returned from the edge of death. After all the storms have passed, from harsh natural disasters to breathless moments between life and death, James and Diep can finally walk hand in hand, peacefully moving forward on life's path, where there are no more floods, no more ambulance sirens, and no more shattered dreams in the night. In their small house on the outskirts of the city, each morning Diep wakes up to see James preparing breakfast, while their little daughter toddles across the tiled floor, laughing and calling out, Daddy, Daddy. Sunlight streams through the window, illuminating the faces of the three of them, and that is the simplest happiness they had once longed for during days they feared they might never see each other again. James is no longer the man who would rush into danger, forgetting that his family was waiting behind. Now, he lives fully in every moment with his wife and child. Every glance exchanged, every hug upon returning home each evening has become a priceless gift beyond measure. As for Diêp, after countless sleepless nights, worries, and dried-up tears, she has her man back. And she knows that from the moment James opened his eyes after his severe illness, her heart belonged to him once more, whole, gentle, and full of trust. They no longer need a grand wedding, nor vows of eternal love. All they need is to watch their child grow each day, to hold hands through the ordinary moments, and to call each other family. And that is enough, because they understand better than anyone. True love is not about grand gestures, but about surviving life and death and turning back to still find each other.
Xin chào mọi người. Hôm nay chúng tôi sẽ tiếp tục câu chuyện đầy tình yêu đầy sóng gió, thử thách của Diêp và Diêp. Trong tập trước, sau khi nhận được tin dữ từ cơn bão thế kỷ ập đến đất liền, Diêp đã đi đến Tâm Bác để ủng hộ, để cùng bà con chống chọi lại cơn bão lũ và giúp đỡ bà con vượt qua thiên tai. Nhưng bất ngờ Diêp biến mất sau khi cơn lũ lên cao và giúp đỡ và khi đội cứu hộ và Diêp đang giúp đỡ bà con vào nơi an toàn, bất ngờ mọi người không tìm thấy Diêp ở đâu. Mọi người đã nháo nhác đi tìm kiếm Diêp, kết quả vẫn trong im lặng một cơn lũ ngày càng to hơn. Mọi người đã báo tin dữ này cho Diêp qua một đêm giông bão. Để đi qua sáng hôm sau, Diêp nhận được tin báo ngay lập tức cùng con gái xuống trung tâm cơn bão để tìm kiếm Diêp. Liệu Diêp có bình an trở về? Liệu tình yêu của Diêp và Diêp có chiến thắng được số phận? Liệu các bạn đừng quên đăng ký và bật chuông thông báo để không bỏ lỡ bất cứ những câu chuyện nào sau đây chúng tôi muốn gửi đến bạn.